Hello and welcome back to the New Dig Norfolk Gardener, where we talk all things new dig and veg. Today I want to plant out my broad beans, and you will have seen in a video a little earlier where I actually sowed these seeds. Now for me they are a little late. I generally like to try and get them in mid-November time because of events that we knew were coming up within the family. I had a feeling that simply wasn't going to happen. So we're starting off in modules. I've been able to keep them in the greenhouse. You can see they've grown away nicely. And it just allows you to be a bit more flexible with your planting times. Also by planting them in module trays, you know what germination you're going to get, and if they haven't come through in a couple of weeks, you can quickly reseed. We live out here in the country in Norfolk, so yeah, there are mice about and various rodents, and they do like to go after the seeds at this time of the year. We're growing two varieties this coming season. One is called the Sutton, and we've grown that ever since we've been gardening, the variety called the Sutton. And one of the reasons we've always grown that is because we're not far from the coast, and it does get quite windy on this plot. And these are very low level growing plants. They don't get very tall, about 12 inches, just maybe a little more. And they don't get buffeted by the winds. And actually only a couple of weeks ago really got quite windy around here when the last storm came through. But I've heard a lot also about a variety called Aquadulce. So we're going to give those a try this season too. And we'll be staking those. So when those winds do come along, hopefully they stay good and strong. Now, you can see here that I've actually did some holes so that I know exactly where I'm going to be planting these broad beans. And I've adopted a method where I'm doing double rows, but each row is zigzagged. And hopefully that will help to keep them upright. The other change I've made this year is that usually I try to adopt to get as much into my plot as possible. And so I try to grow them at sort of the closest spacings that I can, and I usually do them at 9 inches. And what I have noticed just lately is that we've had a thing called chocolate spot, and it's a fungal disease. Also, when you plant your broad beans this time of the year, so autumn sown beans, it's obviously very wet this time of the year, and all sorts of diseases can manifest themselves. They can rot. So what I've done is I've increased the spacings to 12 inches. So 12 inches between the plants, 12 inches between the double rows. And hopefully that way a little bit more airflow will get through and the plants will stand a little bit more chance of surviving. Now, touch wood. We've never had a disaster with broad beans. Yes, we might lose the odd one or two over the winter period, but in the main the crop does actually get its way through. The good thing for us this year is that, although for me we're a bit late, actually last year we were very late. We actually, although I started the plants off at the normal time, we went over to New Dig last year and I was struggling to get hold of compost. We'd gone into lockdown, and so I couldn't get these in until I got the compost on there, and I didn't actually get to receive the compost until January this year. So our broad beans last year didn't go in until January, so we are a full month earlier this year. So let's get on with planting them, and we'll start with, I think, Sutton. I'll just check this exactly. Yeah, the Sutton, yes. You can see the roots are already coming out of the bottom. The good thing with broad beans is that even when they get like this, they'll still continue to grow, and when I now release them from the pot, the taproot that they develop, it'll start growing downwards again. So you can see it's got a nice strong root system. So we're just putting the Aquadulce in now. And if you look along the road you can actually see quite clearly which are the Sutton and which are the Aquadulce. The Aquadulce are actually much taller already, clearly being a taller plant. She goes. It's a bit warmer today, though, probably. So you're out today. Fire donkey. Anyway, as you can see, we've got our broad beans planted, and what I have done is to put some small canes in the ground and run some string around, so that as these plants get a bit taller and bush out, when we do get those higher winds that we do experience from time to time, hopefully that will help stabilise them. Also the fact that they're a zigzag pattern should help too. And yeah, as they do get taller and above these, we'll just stick some bigger canes in here and run some more string around so they don't snap off. So there you have it, broad beans are planted. We have the Sutton, we have the Aquadulce, and yeah, job's a good one. I hope you've been getting on okay with your broad beans, and don't forget that if you haven't gone for an autumn sowing, that doesn't matter. They can be started off any time in January and be popped into the ground late February to early March. Indeed, you can plant broad beans for most of the year. You can probably plant them right up to about June in the year if you want to get a late crop. For us, we tend to plant them here so that they can be out of the ground and we can get our next crop in when they're finished. And actually what will come in here later on next year will be purple sprouting broccoli. So when these are finished, it's the ideal time then to pop those plants in. And that's the reason why we do that. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you've experienced any problems or you know of other ways in which this can all be done, please leave them in the comments section below. We always love getting your comments. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so, and we shall see you on the next video.